today we're going to be doing a mindfulness activity. Before we get started, we need to know what is mindfulness. So I'm going to go ahead and have you guys think to yourselves, what is mindfulness? What does it mean and what does it look like? So if you want to go ahead and pause your video so you can have time to think to yourself, go ahead and hit that pause button and think, what is mindfulness? Once you have your answer, we can go ahead and discuss it. So mindfulness is the acknowledgement of your feelings and knowing those emotions that you're experiencing. So in this video, we are going to go ahead and practice a coping mechanism for when we're feeling super overwhelmed and frustrated maybe, so that we can go ahead and be mindful of those emotions and realize how we can go ahead and put those feelings to the curb and kick them out of our lives for that time being. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go over our materials. We are going to need a mason jar, water, glitter glue, and food coloring. The food coloring is optional. You don't have to have it, but if you want to include it, you can as well. So now I'm going to show you what we're going to be making today. We're going to be making something called a calming jar. The calming jar is going to have lots of sparkles in it, so it'll show us all of our emotions are going to be the sparkles. And then once we calm down and take a minute to ourselves, the sparkles calm down and they go back to their normal state. So that's going to represent our feelings. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this. Does that sound okay? I think so. Alright, so once you pause this video and get all of your materials, we are ready to go to make our calming jars. The first thing we're going to want to do is make sure that we have an empty jar. And we need a jar that's going to have a lid and a top that'll make sure that our water doesn't spill out of this container. So I'm using a mason jar today. You can use whatever kind of jar that you have. And then the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to get our glass of water and pour it into our mason jar. We're going to pour it all the way up to the top. And then once we have that, we can go ahead and start getting our other materials in this jar as well. So like I said earlier, you can use glitter glue and glitter for this activity, and you can choose any color that you want to choose. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my glitter glue first. I chose to do blue. So I'm going to add in this. You can add in as much or as little as you'd like. Once you have your glitter glue in, it's kind of all going to sink to the bottom, but that'll change once we have the rest of our stuff in and we can go ahead and shake it. Once we add in our glitter glue, it might all sink to the bottom or float to the top. It depends on how much you put in there, but that'll all get mixed in once we add in our other ingredients and shake it up. So next we're going to go ahead and add in our glitter. I'm choosing white, and then you can add in as much or as little as you want. I'm going to do about a couple tablespoons worth. And we want to remember to do all of this on top of a towel so that we're not getting the glitter everywhere. And in case the water spills, it's on the towel and it's easy cleanup. So once you have your glitter in there, this is the time where you can go ahead and add in a drop of food coloring if you want. This one that I made has 2 drops of blue food coloring in it. And you can see the sparkles. It is a little bit more difficult to see them, but if they're in the light, it's easier. And then the second one that I made only has the glitter glue and the glitter in it. There's no food coloring in it whatsoever. So you can do whatever you want to do. I would only recommend doing 1 or 2 drops of food coloring if you want to do that. Since I have 2 in one of them and then none in the other, I'm going to add 1 drop of food coloring into this one. Once we have that food coloring in, we can go ahead and put the top back on and make sure it's on there nice and tight, and then we'll screw on the lid, and again making sure it's nice and tight so that none of the water leaks from it. So now that we have the lid on and all of our materials in there, we can go ahead and shake it up and see what happens. All right, so once we have our jars all shaken up, then now we can go ahead and see how this relates to mindfulness and knowing how we're feeling and how we're gonna fix those feelings if they're negative. So when you shake up your jar, go ahead and look at it and see, what do I see? Why don't you go ahead and think in your mind or write it out what you see. You can go ahead and pause this video and shake up your jar on your own and write down those thoughts and feelings of those jars. What you should start to notice is that when you shake up your jars, all the glitter goes all over the place. It's almost like a tornado inside of this jar, if you've ever done a science experiment like that. But the glitter floats all around, and that's going to be our emotions when we're feeling really sad and we're crying, or when we're overwhelmed and we just feel like we have too much on our plates, and also when we're frustrated. Say one of your friends takes your toys or they don't want to play with you at recess, then those feelings of frustration kind of represent the glitter in this jar. You'll notice that after you shake it up and you let it sit for a minute, that all of the glitter goes to the bottom of the jar and gets to a calm state again. This represents those feelings. You could be super overwhelmed and worked up, but then once you take a minute to yourself and realize, I'm feeling pretty frustrated right now, then that's when our feelings are going to go back to that normal state and we're not going to be super overwhelmed anymore. So this calming jar is really going to help you when you have those feelings of frustration or sad or anything like that. You're going to shake it up and see that those sparkles are your emotions. You're super overwhelmed now, but once you take a deep breath and think about how you're feeling for a minute, then you're going to go back down to your normal state just like the sparkles are at the bottom of this jar. Friends, I really hope you enjoyed doing this activity with you and your parents. I think it's a really fun thing to do if you're ever super bored and just want to stare at the glitter going around, but it's also very helpful for those mindfulness activities. This glitter jar can last you a long time. You can make as many as you want. And you can make as many colors as you want too. So I hope you enjoyed this activity, and don't forget that it's important to recognize how you're feeling and then take a breath and take a minute to yourself so that you can calm back down again. Bye, friends!